Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 2 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Drakekeeper's Warpick, and I've got to say I really like this weapon. It's not because it has the word Warpick in the name. For those of you familiar with my channel, you know in Dark Souls 1 I loved the Warpick. This weapon and that, they are two completely different things. This one is a great hammer class, the other one was a hammer class, and there's a big difference between the two, of course, aside from the fact that, it's two different games. Moving on, though, this thing is really good. I really like this thing. There are a few interesting things going on with it, and I'll talk about them in depth a little bit later on in the video, but getting started. The Drakekeeper's Warpick, it requires 40 strength and 14 dexterity in order to wield it. It has an A scaling in strength, no dexterity scaling. It has a physical base damage at plus 10 of 400, which is good. That combined with the A scaling makes for a high attack rating. And my attack rating with this on a 40-40 quality build is 533, which is pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. As you can see, the damage output itself is very good, and it's exactly what you would expect. The counter damage on this weapon is 100. The poise damage is 35 per hit, and the weight is 20 units, so it is fairly heavy. Now, as you can see, even though this weapon is in fact a great hammer class weapon, it has a halberd moveset, which is pretty cool. It's got the little spin to win type thing going with the running attack, and something interesting about the halberd movesets you guys might not be aware of, they do in fact have a little bit of a sweet spot. You want to hit with the very tip. You want to use just the tip, and if you hit with anything closer than that, it'll do significantly less damage. In the first fight, I hit a 600 something with just the very end of the hammer. Later on, throughout the other fights, I'm hitting 200s at some points because I'm hitting more with the handle than anything else. So, you gotta keep that in mind when you're using any sort of weapon in the halberd class or with a halberd moveset. Same could probably be said with spears and a lot of other weapons. It's really hard to say what weapons have sweet spots and which ones don't. So, that's something we should keep an eye out for right now. Now, this guy, I don't know why he ran up here, but I'm not going to wait for him to kill those guys. I don't know, he ran away. I'm just going to follow and keep fighting. I have no problem with that. And huge thanks to the other Bell Covenant guy who was here, or there for that fight, for actually letting me get a 1v1. That was nice. It's a rare occurrence when they do that. I always thought I was one of the few. I'd never had anyone else do that for me, but, it was definitely a nice occurrence. Maybe he recognized me or something. But right there, a 229, proving my point. It's got a sweet spot. Also, this is another weapon, as with most weapons that have a high attack rating, that you will be one-shotting a lot of people if you land a critical of any kind. It really does a huge amount of damage. The most I've hit with this thing on a critical, I don't know how you got that backstab, gotta love the lag sometimes. The most I've done on a critical with this thing was over 2,500 damage. And I believe that was without the Phantom Riposte glitch, so that's something, that's definitely something. Also, I'm loving these Holy Water Urns, they are fantastic. Truly, truly fantastic little things, but getting distracted from the weapon. I would have to say that the biggest pro of this weapon would definitely be the fact that it's got the halberd moveset. It's not that it's a faster moveset than the Great Hammer moveset, because, come on, let's be honest, the Great Hammers are really fast in this game. I would say that it's more of the fact that it has that little sweet spot to it, and the fact that people don't expect a weapon like this necessarily to have a halberd moveset. It looks like a giant hammer. It is a giant hammer. It's a war hammer more than anything else. Why they call it a war pick is beyond me. But people don't necessarily expect it to have this moveset, I guess. I can see why they would expect a Great Hammer moveset because, that's kind of what it looks like. But when you run at them and do the spin to win, well, they'll get hurt by it, that's for sure. One good thing about it is that it eats through people's stamina like there's no tomorrow. So even if they do end up blocking, it's not going to end well for them. I've broken guards by hitting with all three of the spin to win hits and then gone in, had enough stamina to go in after and get the guard break riposte. It really, really hurts. And sometimes I do kind of feel bad for one-shotting people with this thing, but then I remember I don't feel bad for it. It's fun. It's fun. very satisfying too. But anyway, I believe there is maybe one fight left after this. I don't know, the video is showing up in a different format than it normally does for me. My computer, it had a hard drive failure. I was able to save the video, but I have it in a different format now, so it's a little bit harder to tell. Yeah, there's probably like another fight or two after this one. It's hard to tell. I don't know how long the video drags on. Sorry, guys. But really, that's all I've got to say. Oh, biggest con, of course. The biggest con would be the fact that this weapon has that sweet spot. I mean, if you are too close, you're going to hit a 200 compared to possibly a 600. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.